Good day, everyone. I am Jemuel Doctolero. I'm a PhD student from the Department of Forestry and Natural Resources at Purdue University. And for this teaching symposium, I am presenting a lesson plan on Introduction to Aquaculture with an emphasis on helping students understand the foundational concepts, ideas, and principles behind this field. So through this lesson, student will explore what aquaculture is, why it exists, and how it works, from the species cultured to the different production objectives, and most importantly, its role in our society. This lesson plan is designed for FNR 45200 Aquaculture, which is a course intended for undergraduate students at the freshman and sophomore level, particularly those majoring in fisheries and aquatic sciences. So the class session will run for 1.5 hours. So for the learning objectives of this lesson plan, it aims to define aquaculture and describe its key components, differentiate between types of aquaculture species and production objectives, and demonstrate critical thinking by identifying potential advantages and challenges in developing an aquaculture farm focused on a chosen species and production objectives. So, for the actual class, I will begin by discussing the definition of aquaculture, presenting this definition given by FAO 1998. Another definition will be provided. After defining aquaculture, I will facilitate a reflective thinking activity. I will show this famous quotation: give me a fish and I eat for a day, teach me how to fish and I will eat for a lifetime. I'll then guide my students to reflect on its deeper meaning and connect that to aquaculture by asking this prompt: how does this quote relate to aquaculture and its role in food security and sustainability? So I will assign the student to a certain group with 3 to 4 members as a way also for them to interact with their fellow students, and will allow them to exchange thoughts and ideas. After the reflection time, I will invite students to share responses. I will listen carefully, encourage their good ideas, and add some extra thoughts or questions to help connect their answers to what we're learning about aquaculture. So, the main goal of this activity is to get students thinking about aquaculture as a long term sustainable solution, not just a food production method. So it helps them recognize that understanding the concepts of aquaculture and being able to apply them in a real life, addressing food security. Another activity will be conducted. So for this activity, I plan to engage the students through a quick interactive poll that I call Catch or Culture Poll. So I'll begin by showing the QR code from the Mentimeter, and we'll ask, do you think most of the seafood we eat today is wild caught or farm raised? So each student will answer the polls and the result will be displayed. So this gives me a quick visual of their baseline understanding and encourages participation right away. So after everyone has posted, I'll reveal the actual statistic. So according to FAO 2022, more than 50% of the world's seafood is now produced through aquaculture. So this moment of surprise or affirmation leads into a short class discussion. I will ask, why do you think aquaculture has become so dominant? What might be the benefits or challenges of relying more on farm fish? I will ask them to discuss again with their groups and will continue to gather thoughts and ideas. So this activity helps activate students' prior knowledge, promote engagement, present actual research-based data, and sets the stage for deeper exploration of aquaculture's role in global food systems. To further understand the definition of aquaculture, I will differentiate it to agriculture. After defining aquaculture, I will provide discussion on the various groups of aquatic organisms that are primarily utilized in aquaculture. So, first on the line is fish. So, to help my students feel included and connected to the topic, I will start by asking them about their favorite fish dish. If ever I will have an international students, I'll also ask them what fish is commonly farmed in their country or which fish is a staple in their meals. They can also share how it's usually cooked or served. So this activity will encourage everyone to participate in the discussion while also learning about different cultures through food and aquaculture. And then another aquatic organisms are aquatic plants. I will define aquatic plants and the two different types of aquatic plants based on their sizes. So the first one is microalgae or microphytes, and the second one is macroalgae or seaweed. Another aquatic organisms are crustaceans. And lastly, I will discuss another aquatic organisms which are mollusks. After discussing the different aquaculture species, another activity will be conducted. So for this activity, I will facilitate a short activity designed to encourage critical thinking. So I'll begin by transitioning with a recap. I'll say now that we've explored what aquaculture is and why it matters, let's do a quick activity to get you thinking like an aquaculture practitioner or aquaculturist. And then I'll present a scenario to the class. So I'll say that imagine you're starting your own aquaculture farm. You have access to land, water, and basic technology. Your goal is to contribute to food security. So from there, I'll pose the main reflective prompt. So the prompt is, if you could farm any aquatic species, what would it be and why? And I will provide them figures of this aquatic species, and they will provide reasons why they chose those. So to guide their thinking, I'll ask students to reflect on three sub-questions. What are the advantages of your species of choice? How does it align with your goals of sustainability and food production? And what challenges might you face in the farming of this species? So student will be given a few minutes to jot down their responses individually and discuss it to their groups. After the writing time, I'll invite few volunteers to share their answers aloud. So this will help students to determine diverse perspective and introduce a student to real-world consideration in species selection. Also, the purpose of this activity is to encourage students in applying what they've learned to a realistic scenario. Now that they already gained insights and information about defining what is aquaculture and what are the aquatic organisms involved in aquaculture, and also they some already somehow planned their own aquaculture farm, we will proceed discussing the objectives of aquaculture. The first objective is as a source of nutritious food for human consumption. Another aquaculture objective is as a source of livelihood. Another objective is the production of ornamental fish for aesthetic appeal. Moreover, the utilization of land and aquatic resources. And lastly, the aquaculture objectives relating to recreational fishing. And then we will proceed discussing the production objectives of aquaculture, which will provide students information why there is a continuous aquaculture production through continuous rearing of different aquaculture species, and what are the end products of this production that originate from the different aquaculture ventures. First in the line is the production objectives relating to industrial products, such as agar and alginates, which are important ingredients for the cosmetic industry and gelatinized food products. Another production objective is the use of aquaculture products as an active ingredients for the pharmaceutical and nutraceutical industry. There is also a production objective relating to the production of gemstones, such as culture of pearl oyster. Another production objective is the augmentation of wild stocks to enhance and conserve their wild populations, and will then be used for recreational and sport fisheries. Also is the production of ornamental fishes, which are usually used for aesthetic purposes and visual satisfaction. So after the discussion and the activities conducted, for the assessment, I will use an interactive online quiz via Kahoot. So the quiz will include a variety of item types to assess different level of understanding. So 5 true or false questions, 3 fill in the blank items, 2 multiple choice questions, and 1 item that asks students to define aquaculture. So this assessment serves not only to check what students have learned from the discussion and the activity, but also to help identify areas of confusion. So based on the results, I can provide targeted interventions or clarifications to ensure that all learners understand the key concepts. To close the lesson, I'll be doing a wrapped up activity called the reflection exit ticket. So before students leave, I'll distribute small cards where they'll answer 3 quick prompts. One thing I learned today is, one thing I'm still confused about is, one thing that helped me understand better was. So this gives student a moment to pause and think about their learning, and it also gives me valuable insight into how well the lesson landed. I can use their responses to identify what worked, what needs clarifications, and how I can improve further sessions. It's also a low stake, high impact way to end the class on a reflective note. This concludes my lesson plan, and thank you for listening.